Welcome, family, and welcome to another edition of On the Trail with Hamptonio. Just coming at you again with a few little things as I've been wanting to talk to you about that's going on in my mind. Right now, like I mentioned before, we into this whole draft piece, and you know, and watching that whole situation and being distracted as usual from a lot of the things that are going on. But, and some have already talked about it and noticed how that whole draft, football draft situation kind of remind you of slavery or something like our young brothers is on the chopping block. I'm surprised they ain't walking up and looking at their teeth to see what kind of strong buck that they are. Again, but, you know, I don't have to repeat and tell you where my urgency is. I don't uh, really watch it. To tell the truth, I haven't went home and turned on a football game since Brian, and if you from Cleveland, since Brian Sight was the quarterback. That's the last time. Was it '80s or something? I don't even know. That I went home. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going over somebody's house. I mean, to each his own. That's good. I say again, as long as you don't get too wrapped up into it and be distracted from the things that are actually going on that you need to be paying more attention to, because we sit up here and let other things go by without addressing those issues that we should be addressing, things that are going on in our community. We know everything about the players, their high school record, and you know maybe if any scandals they got into, and who they played for, and how much they make. And man, that's too much brain power to be given to you know most of us that don't even have any family members that are involved in any of all of that. Too much energy. Distractions, like we say back in the Roman days, giving bread and circumstance, bread and circus, feed them and keeping the masses distracted, and you got them, entertain them. So that's why I push back on that. I don't want to fall in that category of being distracted by entertainment and a state of feeling like everything is all right. Of course, we all need our breaks and to get away from the rat race, and we have to live our lives, and do some things that this hard work that we do weekly and monthly and yearly. You got to have some pleasures out of life. I get that, I understand that, but it's like the Bible tell you at times there's a season for everything, and I don't think this is the season to be getting too wrapped up in a whole lot of things. It's not a season to be going out spending a whole lot of money and getting in big debt right now. We don't know what the economy is going to do. We don't know definitely what's going to go on with the dollar in the future. Maybe we should be having more classes on financial literacy and maybe other alternatives that we can get into in dealing with our money as far as investments is concerned. Maybe we need to start thinking about getting some more land, where it might come to a point where we have to feed ourselves. Getting back to some of the basic stuff, knowing how to sow, how to store food, you know what I mean? Buying seeds. You know what they're doing with the genetically modified seeds. Those things. We don't want to be caught with our pants down like that. Get back to the basic things of growing a garden, organic gardening, your food, learning about your health, quitting trusting everybody, word in reference to your health. Come on, hospitals is running crazy with pathology and disease. Shouldn't that spark your attention like maybe something wrong? All these young folks getting ailments that they shouldn't even have at all, but getting in at an early age like that don't spark your curiosity and tell you that something is wrong here. Every hospital is building on new wings, new hospitals. They're expanding. That's an investment for them. Hospitals are investments. So they, expanding. And so they're expecting a lot of pathology in the future, a lot of sick people. So I'm just saying we need to be more focused. I can't say it enough. We need to be more focused. So I understand. But the graph got us standing on the auction block, and wishing to make this happen. See, we should do better for our children, our talented ones like that. We should be schooling them from junior high school to high school what their role is, what their job is, what their responsibility is as far as their community is concerned. These head coaches, these black head coaches, that should be a part of the curriculum and getting inside that mindset and letting them know and making them understand their purpose and how these sharks is going to be coming at them. Why release your babies out to these sharks like that to be used and misused? And for you sisters out there, you get mad because they go and marry a white girl. Well, they got all these people around them, ushering them in all different directions. Off one talented guy, it probably feeds about four other families. His publisher, his broker, his PR man. They all these folks handling them is making millions of dollars off that talent. How that sound to you? You know, and they barely reaching back and doing any good for their community. And some of the people that was around them that they can bring up with them. Come on, LeBron James did a good job in reference to that. I give him that. But come on, prepare our kids, and then I would say, for the, let's talk about that subject, right there. They feed on that talent, but what about them going to HBCU, taking that talent there? I heard Dr. Umar Johnson talking about that in reference to Deion Sanders. I agree with him. Look at the opportunity that he had to lead the way for others to follow. Our institutions always begging, got to go to the government every year or every, couple years, wherever the contract expired, of asking for money. And you got folks out there in Duke and things of that nature paying college coaches $4 million plus salary. And our institutions are suffering from proper equipment and buildings and facilities and things that they need. You can't tell me if somebody is racking up 40 points a game that scouts ain't coming to see them, regardless on where they at and where they're playing. You can't tell me that. They're gonna find a way. They're gonna hear about you. And some people say, well, the talent pool is different. Them the same Negroes that they been playing in high school on the streets or whatever. They ain't nothing but our folks. Trust me, if you could shoot, you could shoot. Period. And folks will be coming to see you, just like they did back in the day. You had the different baseball teams that we had of our own. Folks will come out. And then just look at how many other people that got talent that you are imploring, giving them jobs, giving them something to do. See, they reach that roster list in basketball or football, then they got to go out the country to play or what have you. Why can't we have our own teams? What's stopping them from doing that? How comfortable are we from here? And this is my point here. Some people don't like me to say this, but I'm saying this is the only way I can explain it, because there's different degrees of what I'm about to say. I think we suffer from mental illness. It has to be mental illness. Psychologically, something is not right. They talk about the Willie Lynch syndrome. They talk about the Stockholm syndrome on how it affects us. And like Dr. Claude Anderson say, the root of all of it right now, the basic part of all of our problems right now, that we just want to be accepted by the system. That's it. Whether we like it or not, whether you like what I'm saying or not, that's what it all comes down to. If that group take one of us and take him to his country club and he's hobnob and sit down with some of the folks who got big money, you wouldn't be able to speak to that dude. You know who I was just sitting around? You know who I was hobnobbing? He'll lose his mind because he'll feel accepted. And that's the basics of all of us. We just want to be accepted. And it's a mental thing. Just this type of acceptance of how far we'll go to be accepted. And that's the programming. That's the mental illness that I'm talking about. How are we comfortable? We got black boys running. 80% of the black boys, people running up and down the basketball court is our folks. That's our talent pool. Same with the football. That's us. It's us who they come to see. So how are you comfortable with letting somebody else run that industry where you don't even have a good piece of it? You should have a good nugget of it. You can place it and you're okay with somebody else running the show. That got to be mental. Some psychological about that. And don't say some of us didn't have the money to get into the game, or is the game that difficult and locked up by other ethnic groups that you bet not even try to do it? If it's like that, then you should be definitely talking about getting the heck out of here and going somewhere else where you have more freedoms to do some stuff. If they got you in place because the system is that corrupt to where you can't get in the door, then why you still sitting here then? Why you still just sucking it all up and let somebody just smack you in the mouth and tell you sit in the corner? And if that ain't the case where you can start your own teams and do your own thing, then why aren't you? So it has to be a mental thing. I made a few little notes over here, guys. But with that Deion Sanders situation, serious opportunity for HBCU schools because other ones could follow. Then our kids with their talent would have came in there and started building up uh, the HBCUs, and that money will start flowing that way. Huge opportunity going to Colorado State, and then taking other talent pool, a group of talented youth to Colorado. What's in Colorado for black folks? They can't even have a decent social life. One of my friends say, "Well, maybe we gonna see what he do. He gonna reach back and do something for him." But you had the opportunity. Couldn't be about the dollars and cents for him. See, we don't think holistic. We so wrapped up into the system and caught up in the system, man. We got to understand, y'all. This is the system that got us to where we are right now. There's no way you're going to fix our problems with the same capitalist system. You got to come with a different, innovative approach. Come on, what do they call insanity? Trying to do the same thing and get different results. You see, the educational system is not working. You see, the healthcare system is not working. You see, the economic system is not working for us. So why are you still trying to fix our problems the same way? There are other alternatives out here. You can't tell me about black folks. I know how creative black folks are. You give them the opportunity and the freedoms, they'll come up with a new way of educating our children with the schools. They'll come up with a new way of dealing with health. And they'll come up with a new way of dealing with economics and our economy. Like I said before with Brother King Mpongo, they say he's coming up with a situation with education that before you can get your degree, you got to go out and teach 10 other people. And they have to grade you and to give their, approval on your teaching styles before you can get your degree. That's a different, innovative approach of doing something. That's what I'm talking about. Things like that, if you had the opportunity and talent. But some of us is not even interested. Like we can't make a movie. You got to wait on somebody else to make a movie. Yeah, we doing better now. But there's so many other stories that's out there to be told. If they won't show your movies, guess what? Get these old warehouses and show your movies. And it will grow. Yeah, we might have to make some sacrifices from the beginning. Like our young boys who make the sacrifices to go to these HBCUs and may not get the recognition that they want right away. But you are creating a path. You're creating shoulders to stand on, just like our ancestors did, the kings and the Malcolms of the world. For us to have these freedoms to even talk like this to you in some type of media content and source. It's building blocks. So Deion could have did a world of good for our schools. if you'd have stayed in it and led the way. Some people was acting like that, because they would get the athletes wouldn't get the proper training. And come on, what is it? Come on, you mean tell me that there's no black folks out there that could coach our kids into stardom, successful careers? Come on, look at right here locally with Ted Ginn. Look how many pros he produced. Come on, Ted Ginn just played uh, high school. He might have played a little college, but you got a lot of folks that is capable of teaching our children. They can relate to them better. They didn't think we could be quarterbacks there for a minute, and also coaches in the big leagues. We could do it. So that ain't no excuse but us. So it has to be mental that we deal in this. All this got to be mental. You know, we got to be forced into doing things for ourselves. We got to be. You know, how? There's no other way. How do you let folks come into your community and don't be a part of that community and take all your resources out of the community, and we let that happen and be okay? That they could come in our community and we spend our dollars with them, and they don't do any give back to the community. Maybe they pad in the, you know, our politicians' pocket. I don't know. But come on. How we allow that? How we allow that as men? Nobody else do that. I just seen a YouTube video with an Asian girl talking about, you know, some of the conversations that were where it was done behind our backs. And when the Asians said that the white folks wouldn't let them in their communities, they sent them down to our community and give them loans for startup because white folks didn't want them in their community. And of course, they're not the only ones. But why not? How come we not making them pay homage? How come the Family Dollars and the Dollar Trees and the Dollar Generals is not setting up some type of grant fund or something to help the people in our communities that has been subjugated and marginalized? And we got so many programs, so many good programs that are underfunded that we can't get can't get the funds to do them. There's a lot of folks got a lot of good ideas, can't get the dollars. But the Family Dollars and the Dollar Trees and all the rest of them and other ethnic groups is cleaning up. There has to be money in the community. It's not good business sense to set up businesses in poor communities. So we need to quit calling our communities poor communities, because these businesses wouldn't be set up in our community if it was poor. That ain't good business strategy. So there's money out there. How we allow it. So that's what I said. It has to be a mental thing. We got to work on unlocking this mental blockage that we are dealing with. We got to do something, fella, family. You know, you got some of our people. You tell me if it's not a mental thing. You got some of our people that's tripping on Black history and the need for Black history. And sometimes when you have a person like me coming around and talking about Black history and things like that, here he come with this black stuff again. Bet you never heard another ethnic group ever say anything something like that. That as silly as that. They don't want to hear it. That's why I say it's mental. They're complacent. Don't want to ruffle no feathers. What did one of our leaders say? If you're not an angry black man, then something is wrong with you. Because if you got your eyes open and seeing all the things that are going on right now, the inequities and the just the scale being unbalanced for justice and everything. If you're not angry, something is wrong with you. Of course, you can't do it by yourself. This is my point. We gotta start hooking up with like minds and trying to do something that we all can agree on. See, but the system got you right where they want. Because guess what? The Baptists ain't gonna do nothing with the Methodists. The Methodists ain't gonna do nothing with the Muslim. The Muslim ain't gonna do nothing with the Hebrew Israelites. And the conscious folks ain't gonna do nothing with none of them, Yeah. So we fall for that. A lot of my Christians folks don't even know the history of Christianity and where it come from. We haven't even took the time. We took our pastors and everybody else's word for it. All it started from the Coptics and then in modern times the Catholics. And Baptists try to turn their back against the Catholics, and that's where y'all got it from. The Catholics got it from the Coptics. What the Coptics? Over in Africa. You don't know the history. You don't even know the history where it come from and what you're worshiping. But it got us all fighting together, against each other and won't work together and do nothing. And therefore what? Nothing gets done. The best way to stop a people from moving around and doing anything together is to keep them confused in their own discord, never getting anything done. But seeing like 2023, we should see all these things and tricks by now. So what is keeping us from doing some of these things? Especially when they say with this high-tech age, all this information and things are in front of us. Like I was telling a friend of mine, come on, yeah, you want to keep crutching, they sold us into slavery. That was 400 years ago. You still on that? Do you know how many other ethnic groups have turned against their own people? The Indians done it. White folks are still doing it now. you know, we ain't the only people that happened to, and it wasn't the whole entire continent. So you're gonna keep talking about something that happened 400 years ago? Come on. Half of you glad that you came over here and that you ain't over in Africa right now. So quit using that as an excuse. You're happy about it. Because some of y'all think African people was just at the beach having a good time while we was over in slavery. They was going through the same situation. And none of us don't know nothing about those folks that was rebelling over in Africa, just like y'all don't know about us over here. There was so many slavery revolts over here. They won't tell you about that. Won't talk to you about that. You see, we have to get our act together. This got to be mental. It has to be mental for us to not do that. I tell you something that proves my point right here. For us to celebrate a God that don't look like us, and they look like the same people that oppressed us, you can't tell me that ain't mental. Nobody on the planet does that and would do that and defend it and kill you if you say anything else about it. That's got to be mental. You see? Let me take you to the Bible. Greater he that's in you than in the world. God don't dwell in temples made by hand. What are they saying? The creator is in you. So when you make an image of God that looks like your ethnic group, all you're doing is saying is recognizing the God that is in you. And for people that don't do that, that's an issue. That's a problem. Old pastor, when I was in my might even, I think it was even before my teens, that he said if a pig was able to draw a picture of God, God would look like a pig. Look at all the images when they represent the great spirit of God, the creator. Don't they look like different ethnic groups? So for you not to do that, something wrong with you. That's just it's not a knock against nobody else, nobody other race or culture. It's just a recognizing the God that's within you. And he did it well in Africa and all over the world with black folks. What's the old saying? before the white man came into Africa. Africa had the land and he had the Bible. When he left, what? The Africans had the Bible and he had the land. There's another old saying that Africans say about themselves. If you're on your way to church on Sunday morning and you run into a white man, you just seen Jesus. You might as well, you can go right back home. What psychologically is going on there? They had a guy over there shooting a movie that was dressed up like Jesus, and he came out into the town over in Africa. They all thought that was Jesus. They was praising him like he was Jesus. You see how imagery is important? You see how important imagery is? That's why they're having a hard time for you controlling the imagery that people see on television and things like that. The music and the imagery is very important. That's why they're giving our brothers a hard time for owning networks. It's just that simple. It ain't difficult. How come our leaders don't understand it? So, like I say, is it that corrupt that they got us in a jackpot like that? Then we need to be leaving here then. Because you're never going to do anything to save your people. You're never going to change our circumstances. So why are you here? At that point, you ain't doing nothing but just being consumers and feeding the same people and the same corporations that put deals together to keep you right where you are. So what's your point? What's your purpose? I guess just to think about yours. Well, I got a little decent job and this, that, and other. Well, I don't think like that. And thank God some of our great leaders didn't think like that. To just thought individually, just about themselves. You have a responsibility to your family, but you also got a responsibility to your community. What are you doing? If you got the type of position where you can't get on the front line, help fund the folks that are trying to do something, who are on the front line. Good programs that you think would be beneficial to your community. Why not fund them? Help them out then if you can't be on the front line. You could do something. You could do something rather than just selling for what's going on. Because at the end of the day, guess what? The creator is going to ask, what did you do? Yeah, I know I dealt you a rough hand, but what did you do? Did you help somebody? Did you speak up for some circumstances and situations? What did you do? When you leave here, what kind of footprint are you going to leave? Leave. Yeah, what kind of footprint do you leave? Is it going to be one that is going to be remembered, or is it going to be a footprint that when the wind blows, easily just brushed away? Because I want to, you know, do something that I feel good about myself that I tried. That I tried. When the creator asks me, what did I do? I want to be able to say, I did something. I tried. And that's what you should be saying and doing yourself. You can't sit up in a little corner and bottle and just worry about yourself. You have responsibilities and obligations, especially when you got a people that's been disenfranchised and subjugated, and you're gonna sit there and you stand for that, and it'll be okay, and you just worry about yourself. What about the people that just give you the opportunity and put their lives on the line for you to be able to send your kid to that school, for you to be able to move in that neighborhood to get the house that you around there so proud of? What you doing to appreciate those ancestors who set you up like that? What are you doing? That's a slap in the face. It's all about culture, people. It's all about culture. We're going to have to reach back and get those jewels that our people left behind on how to live, what the purpose of a man, purpose of a woman, how to resolve problems in your community. In your culture, like Dr. Amos Wilson said, it's economics. If your culture say we eat this type of food, or we dress this type of way, guess what? Somebody in your community is producing that stuff, and your money is circulated amongst your people. See, we leave our kids out here begging. Or you got to speak properly. You got to go to your unit. We got to prove ourselves, get in debt, and tap dance for the man to get a job. Ain't nobody else doing that. You got these other cultures can't even speak fluent English, broken English, and still successful. Why? Why you gotta speak all proper? I went to West Point and I did all of that stuff. Why you gotta do that? Because you don't own nothing, because you don't manufacture nothing. So you gotta go out there begging and being dependent on somebody. Dr. Amos Wilson also said, if your schools don't train your kids to fix the problems that you have, then you are wasting time. You ain't doing nothing. So if we don't own enough businesses, and we know that that's a problem in our community, we should be training our kids how to fix that problem going into the future. That ain't rocket science. Come on, our talented 10, our smart ones don't know that. Why ain't they doing it? Something is consciously wrong with them. This is what I'm saying to you people. A brother was doing this podcast the other day. I wish I had a chance to get on and talk to him. I kept saying culture and what your frustration is. You know, it's okay about putting an organization in and having people join and putting money to it, but everybody's frustrated. That frustration is not new, trying to get us to do something. Martin, Malcolm, Megger, Farrakhan, everybody have had that problem of trying to get us to help ourselves. You want to help them, but it's hard getting our own people to help themselves. That's not a new problem. And you're going to continue to have that problem if they don't know conscientiously what they need to be doing and why. And culture is the glue. If you had a way of doing something and the community supported that, that's what a culture brings. It teaches an individual how to get with a group to do things that he couldn't do individually. He understands he needs the group to do this. And don't nobody in this country respect an individual. You could be squashed out. Stop it. They respect group in numbers. Look at the LGBT community. They respect that voting block. That's what it's about. But see, we're going to let something like religion. We all different. We all over here. We all over there. Come on. You're never doing it. Church on every corner. You got mosques and you got parishes that serve a certain geographical area, that everybody pull that energy in that area, that voting block, that dollar. You can't do it with a church on every corner. Your power is fragmented at that particular time. You can't do nothing. Everybody want to be the boss. A culture teaches you how to get along there like that and to work those things out. And to sit back and let somebody else lead. Culture, girl. That's why I speak so much about Africa. They left some jewels there. They're suffering through some things themselves, but they still got some of their culture intact that we can use for our benefit. And then when you get into the writings and you get into the intricate part of the villages and understanding those philosophies, that's some stuff we was missing. We need that type of understanding and philosophy. Look up the laws of Ma'at. Look at the 42 negative confessions. Look at their philosophy on life. It'll change your whole ideology and beliefs on what life is all about in this spiritual and humanistic experience that we're having. They have a whole different approach, just like we are 180 degrees from this system in white folks. We like our food different. We like our human different. We think different. We dress different. We worship different. We pray different. So we're gonna lay down a whole different way of doing something. When we look at some of the stuff they do, what we do, we put our melanin flavor on it, and we put some pizzazz on it and change the whole thing around. We just like that. That's that melanin factor, my brothers and sisters. That's all. And that's a funny thing. It's crazy. They're actually admiring us, and they trying to be like us, and we trying to be like them. And we don't know we the leaders of this thing. That's the funny thing. They bathing in under lights, trying to get dark, big lips, big behind, trying to talk like you, walk like you, dress like you, sing like you, dance like you, and you trying to be like them. Ain't that a crazy circle? That's some crazy stuff right there. Just don't know you got the power. Don't know African Americans pretty much lead everybody that is black on this planet. They watching and following you. But what they see from us, stupidness, untogetherness, killing each other on the corner, doing this, doing that, selling drugs, driving this. And we know all where all that come from. And who put it all in our community, the guns and everything. Come on. That ain't rocket science. But again, until we start educating our own children and our kids, this cycle's going to continue. We were on here waiting for the powers that be to come to a come to Jesus moment and change. I asked that question. I throw it out there. Do you think they're ever going to open the book and be fair? Folks tell me no. You think black folks are ever going to get their stuff together like the Jews? They say no. Well, what you waiting on for? What you waiting for? You should be looking at some other methods of doing stuff. Where can you go? What can I do? You're going to keep your kids in the same situation where they got to start and deal with the same situation that you did? That's what Stevie Wonder said. He didn't want to have his kids go through the same thing that he did. That's why he went to Africa. So, family, again, I just want to come back at you and try to be with you a little bit regular and dropping some information for those who feel that it was worthy of listening to. I need you to subscribe, tell somebody, share it. We can, keep this thing going. The more I see you subscribe, then the more I try to, come at you with some good information. I'm working on some stuff. I got some good folks coming on. It's just a matter of time. Just hang in there. We're gonna have some great interviews coming. All right. Until then, my family, just chew on and digest on some of the things that I talk about. And don't be so distracted by all this garbage that is out here. Get your book, read some stuff, look at some documentaries, educate yourself, and see how I can do to leave something to my children. Pay off a house and give them something to start with. Don't let them start at ground zero like you did. All right. All right, my family. Till next time. Peace out.